Hey, welcome back. You know, as much as I enjoy our time together here on social media, I actually have a real fondness for real life too. Not long ago, I told you about my friend John. Pretty impressive young guy. Well, John and I went flying the other day because, well, if you can, you should. That's John. John is an engineering student at Florida Polytechnic, and he's a licensed pilot. He actually learned to fly while he was in a high school flying club here in Central Florida. I met him when he was a high school student. This kid's really done something. So we're going to go get some airspeed and convert that to some altitude and see if we can have a little bit of fun today in this 1980 Cessna 152 that his high school aero club just bought.
Running with traffic, November 104, Uniform Charlie is going to be taking off runway 5, departing to the north, Raven.
Now, before we go any farther, I should admit, I've been a flight instructor for a long time, and because of that, pretty much every flight I go on becomes an instructional flight. I like to pass along some tips and tricks and things I've learned over the year, and every once in a while, I learn something from the person I'm flying with. Believe it or not, both of those things happen on this flight.
Now, as we get rolling down the center line here, I'll take a look. I've got at least 2,300 RPMs. I've got enough power to lift off. So we just keep rolling along like this. And at 55, a little bit of back pressure, climb out at 67.
In case you are wondering, yes, meteorology matters. The temperature has an effect on every flight.
You know, for us, it's cold. We've got 700 feet a minute. You know, normally in the summer, we might have more like 300 feet a minute.
Exactly.
If we were up north where it's in the 20s, we might get over 1,000 feet a minute. The density of the air is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you find you can't see over the nose, you don't have to climb at VY. You can do a cruise climb, hold the nose a little bit lower so you've got visibility. So at 700 feet, 300 below pattern altitude, we're going to roll left.
Yep.
Head to the north. It's a straight climb out until you get to 300 feet below pattern altitude. That way, it's standardized. It doesn't matter where you are. That's what you're doing.
One of the great joys of my flying career has been having the ability to take other people along, to introduce them to the joys of flying, to let them take the controls and get the full-blown experience for themselves and see what's this all about, because it's not anything like sitting in 27B on a Delta flight or with any other airline. General aviation is a really interesting vehicle because it opens up a door to a whole new world. John's a great example of that. He just started with a basic familiarization flight like so many other people, but he kind of took it from there and ran.
Right. This is the same route we flew on your first flight.
It is.
Crosswind, you got a Piper Cub about 2.5.
You remember that all way back? That first flight?
Oh, my God.
I'm all lit up.
How old were you, 16?
Yeah.
We are as well.
I think I'm 16.
How old are you now?
Downwind.
19.
25.
Now, you started flying when you were in high school.
Yep.
And you helped to form a high school aero club. Is that beneficial to you, or was that just theoretical?
No, that was really good because it showed a lot of the necessary skills, business management. One of the big things is like that hands-on practical experience and kind of trying to figure out, okay, where did I want to go?
Almost any pilot can do exactly what we're doing here. Now, you may not be a flight instructor, but you could still take somebody for a ride. You may sit in the left seat and let them sit in the right. Or if you're a flight instructor who's comfortable sitting on the right seat, you might let them take the left seat and really take control of the flight. The point is, almost anyone who has the ability to fly can share the experience. And when they do that, something pretty remarkable can happen.
That's one thing you'll never forget is your first flight and your solo. Maybe your check ride, of course.
Yeah, you did well on your solo day. I remember that. That was
good.
You had somebody cut you off.
I did.
And you handled it really well.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that was a big thing of like navigating, and I just extended downwind.
And head me over to Polytechnic. I know some people who go to school there.
All right.
How do you like that, by the way? Flying, getting involved with engineering. Which was your goal? You were in robotics in high school.
Yeah.
Then got interested in aviation and found an avenue for it.
Exactly.
And what are you doing now?
I'm going to school at Florida Polytechnic University, and I'm studying mechanical engineering with a concentration in aerospace.
Very cool. So this might actually pay off for you in terms of a job.
Yeah.
Driver 253.
Yeah, right now I'm looking at going into the flight test engineering field. So.
Very cool. What did learning to fly do for you, if anything?
Well, especially this especially relates to the field that I want to go into. And aerospace engineering is one of those fields that you can be really good if you're book smart, or you can be really good, and you have to be really good if you can merge both the book smart but also the practical experience. And things like, I talked to a couple of engineers over at Poly, and one of the big things is the terminology, the lingo, all of those types of things, even the regulations to a certain extent. It's all things that you get familiar with by becoming a pilot that you have to use in order to be a good engineer.
I used to instruct at a school up in New England that had to deal with Sikorsky helicopters, where Sikorsky would pay for 20 hours of flight training for engineers. Not that they necessarily got their certificate, but they understood how the parts they were designing and building were used in reality.
Exactly.
I hope you get something of real value from this clip. I sure enjoyed making it, and more I think we'll start putting in some actual flight videos to pass along both lessons for students, some warnings for pilots who maybe have gotten a little sloppy in their technique or some of their precautionary things, or even just following the rules. But the basic thing is, we can all go out to the airport. We can hang out, whether we are pilots or not. If you have even the slightest interest in aviation, start hanging out at the local airport. Go down, grab a Coke, grab a burger. That opportunity to meet someone who flies, who may take you along, does exist. And for those of us who have that ability, whether it's just a quick trip around the patch, or whether we share that $100 hamburger experience, or whether we do a full-blown familiarization flight like I do with so many kids, to give them the opportunity to get in an aircraft, to handle the controls, and to spend a half an hour and come back and realize, I can fly. I actually can do it. And now I know somebody who can help me. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. Click the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel because the algorithm loves that and will love you. And of course, feel free to share this on your social media feed, because the more people who find out that aviation is a viable part of their life, if they want it to be, well, that just makes a better world.